Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I'm checking my volumes for Mr. B because I forgot to do that, and you know how he loves it when I check my volumes. I want to remind everybody, Brad Combs and I did our first X Spaces show, which is on Tuesdays at 12 o'clock noon Eastern time. We did our first one yesterday, and what we're doing is like this week we did it on my X profile, which is at Digital Asset Buy. Next week we're doing it, and then we're just going to go back and forth. So next week we're doing it at Digital Perspectives, which is at DIGPERSPECTIVES. So you can set your reminder to watch that. Next week he's calling it XRP Crypto Trump with Digital Perspectives and Digital Asset Investor. The catalysts for coming XRP are insane. I like this little list. Tokenization, RWA narrative, USA partnership announcements, XRP ETF filings and approval, Ripple IPO, Ripple stablecoin, RLUSD, full clarity institutional sales, partnership announcements, 7 years of accumulation below all-time high, major XRPL updates and amendments, XRPL adoption growing, relisted on all exchanges worldwide. XRP also has a unique advantage of being the only digital asset with legal clarity. What's your 2024 price projection for XRP? I would add expiration of NDAs and secret partnerships to that list. Michael Saylor's having a tough time. I love playing his clips.
It's like when things get political, you know, and this gets very political, then you just have to rethink all of your premises. Instead of someone saying, well, there's one crypto asset, maybe I'll allocate 1% of my money to it. I think mainstream investors might say, oh, there's a crypto asset class now, and maybe we'll allocate 5% or 10% to the crypto asset class, but Bitcoin will be 60% or 70% of that.
Do you think we're going to see a lot more Bitcoiners start to come over?
You're going to see that Bitcoin dominance fall like a rock. Once, look, for the first time in the history of crypto, you're about to see Bitcoin on a regulatory level playing field. When they pass legislation, all of a sudden, all these other digital assets that actually do something instead of just act as a store of value, which they literally made up to make it sound like Bitcoin was somehow unique. It's unique, all right, in that it's dinosaur technology.
Or is it just not going to happen?
God, it'll be like nails on a chalkboard for them to have to admit that. I can already see that.
Yeah, they're already having a rough time. Here's Anthony Pompliano carrying the, apparently Fox News has a partnership with the Bitcoin maxis to continue to carry the narrative.
All right, move over Bitcoin. Here comes Ethereum. That's right. In the past month, Ethereum has rallied more than 17% versus 6.5% for Bitcoin. The question is, what's driving it and where does it go from here? I had to bring in Pomp Investments investor Anthony Pompliano. And Pomp, what the heck is going on now? By the way, I did read, I think it was last week, you had a headline. It sounded a little ominous about these Ethereum ETFs. Are you a fan or not?
Well, I think that Wall Street's just woken up to the fact that they can make money in this sector now, right? If you look back 3, 4, 5 years ago, they were all saying, we don't like Bitcoin, we don't like crypto. Right. Now they realize there's profits here. And so they're going to continue to push not only to get the Bitcoin ETFs, Ethereum ETF.
I called this 5 years ago. I knew this was happening.
But they're going to try to go through this full stack. And the question is, what will regulators allow? How many are they going to approve? How many coins are going to be on Wall Street by the end of this year?
Yeah, I mean, so it sounds like you don't want too many. You don't want some of the lower end coins.
Well, just think Bitcoin, I think, is this unique thing that has a very clean story, right? It's a store of value. When you get into these other things, they're technology platforms. So now you start talking about what's the difference between Facebook, Amazon, Google, et cetera. They're all competing for different kind of aspects of the consumer. And so I think when you look at Ethereum, Solana, and many others, they're tech platforms competing with each other. And so the story just isn't as clean as Bitcoin exclusively.
Something else is...
Whatever, man. You guys were a part of a marketing machine that was born of Wall Street, by the way, for the last 5+ years to try to make Bitcoin and Ethereum these standouts when they never were. You know it. I know it, and the pizza boxes you were selling that you stopped selling know it. This guy's telling the truth, however.
Today, nearly 100% of that technology comes from just 2 or 3 Chinese companies. So nearly 100% of the supply is dominated by China, which is just really, in fact, just a risk in itself, just given the decentralized nature, otherwise, of the protocol on the usage side of it. And that's where I said that even just for the chain itself, there's a risk if you have 1 or 2 or 3 major actors, all of them Chinese-based. If they wanted to take over the network, they could potentially orchestrate an attack on that. So that itself, in its own right, is a big risk. And given the amount of finances involved, the amount of money involved in ETFs in the US, the amount of ownership of, for instance, Bitcoin among individuals across the US, that itself is a risk. Besides the other risks around access to technology that it provides and the sensitive installations that Carol and Congressman have been talking about.
Now, that was the CFTC, one of the CFTC chairs sitting on stage, and they're talking about Bitcoin being a national security risk. You think the regulators don't know that? Come on. Here's another guy telling the truth.
Because if I am an ordinary American, who's paying for all this? Well, you can print the US dollar, that's okay. But one day you cannot just print dollar like that, and it'll be a choice between guns and butter. So my money goes to guns or for my butter. There's no question how they will vote.
Ha ha. Everybody's catching on. It looks like somebody, what in the world's going on here? This is a JP Morgan in Youngstown, Ohio. And it looks pretty clearly like someone blew it up. Sign of the Times, I think that's a song. Just in, crypto company Ripple has donated another $25 million to Crypto Political Action Committee Fair Shake, bringing the PAC's total to just north of $100 million ahead of its November election. Look at this. Forbes. Why the Securities and Exchange Commission lost its war on crypto? Well, because it pissed off the XRP army. That's the real answer. Forbes, Ripple ruling on XRP certainly contributed to the momentum to the effort to pass Fit 21 and burnished Brad Garlinghouse heroic profile among a grassroots army of crypto supporters. That's us. Just in, judge orders SEC to pay $1.8 million in damages for abusing its power against crypto company DebtBox. In other words, Gary Gensler sent his attorneys in to lie to a federal judge. But Gary has not, let me lay it out for you. This is how it works, folks, right now. And this is getting a lot of retweets for a reason. This is how it works. 1, SEC chairman sends SEC attorneys into court to lie to federal judges. 2, judge finds SEC $1.8 million in damages. 3, taxpayers that the SEC was supposed to be protecting instead of lying in court so they could attack those taxpayers now get to pay the bill. 4, SEC chairman, he'll now go to Congress to request more money because he just needs more resources to go after U.S. taxpayers by any means necessary, including having SEC attorneys lie to federal judges. That's number 4. And then number 5, the SEC, not only is Gary not going to face repercussions, he won't be fired like everybody else would be in this situation, but he's going to either retire in style or he's going to be appointed to another government position so he can keep living off the government dole and the taxpayer with no repercussions for his illegal actions. You see the problem here, folks? Because that's where we are in this country. And then here's some guys talking about old Gary.
The one thing I have to say, and as I was reading these different documents and statements the last couple of days, I have to say my favorite document, probably in a negative way, was a statement by SEC Chair Gary Gensler. He made a document called Statement on the Financial Innovation and Technology for the 21st Century Act. In there, I highly recommend to the listeners to read the statement that Chair Gensler made, but I have to read one line in there that says, I quote, many market participants in the crypto industry, however, have shown their unwillingness to comply with applicable laws and regulations for more than a decade, variously arguing that the laws do not apply to them or that a new set of rules should be created and retroactively apply to them to excuse their past conduct. Personally, I find this very interesting. I would love, first of all, to get your views on how common is it for a SEC chair to comment on a piece of legislation issued by the House or any of the arms of Congress.
I don't think I'm breaking ground here. It's very unusual. And I think it's particularly unusual to come out against a bill. You will oftentimes see a bill get proposed and then the chair of the CFTC, the SEC, or whoever is the relevant agency, to say, we support this bill. It's a little bit unusual for an agency's chair to come out and say, I oppose this bill. The idea that, there is regulatory clarity and folks know what to do and they're just deciding not to. I think it's been proven not to be true over and over and over again.
Again, why on earth would Gary Gensler not do all these things that he's not supposed to do when there's never any repercussions for him? I mean, these guys all talk about all this stuff, and the congressmen all talk about this stuff like, Gary did this, Gary did this. Well, your job is to make him feel real repercussions. That's your job. And until he feels them, why wouldn't he do what he wants to do? All this is so easily fixable. But guess what, folks? Just when you've been told that ETHgate's over, it's time to move beyond that because we got an Ethereum ETF and now you can't talk bad about any of it. Just when you get that, right and wrong just happened to rise to the top here. Look what's happened here. CPAC, just so you know, CPAC, the largest and most influential gathering of conservatives in the world. Last week, Director of CPAC Foundation Center for Regulatory Freedom, Andrew Langer, submitted complaints of unethical professional behavior to the New York and California Bar Associations about former Securities Exchange Commission official William Hinman. Evidence indicates that Hinman, former director of SEC's Division of Corporate Finance, had a conflict of interest while working at the SEC and actively sought to gain from it, using his influence to benefit his previous employer. Langer's complaints express this to the California and New York Bar Associations, asking for investigations into Hinman's behavior. Here's his complaint. CPAC, we'll get down here. Today our organization is reaching out as we believe certain public statements and actions of California attorney William Harold Hinman since last summer, continuing his day, may violate the California State Bar Association's rule. He left his position, Mr. Hinman left his position at Simpson Thacher Bartlett to join SEC as Director of Division of Corporate Finance. See William Hinman named Director. On June 14th, that's the day of the Bill Hinman speech, Ethereum Free Pass speech. While Mr. Hinman was at the SEC, he gave now well-recognized speech which he laid out the elements that he believed made a digital asset security subject to the SEC's oversight. In that speech, Mr. Hinman stated, based on my understanding of the present state of Ether, the Ethereum network and its decentralized structure, current offers and sales of Ether are not securities transactions. Around the same time Mr. Hinman gave that speech, his former firm, STB, joined the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. The EEA's objective is to drive the use of Enterprise Ethereum. The objectives, it became particularly suspicious as the remarks from Mr. Hinman in SEC intra-office emails were only made public through an extraordinarily drawn-out and unnecessarily contentious discovery process in the SEC's years-long litigation against global payments company Ripple Labs. Those communications exposed that Mr. Hinman was particularly interested in the input from Ethereum's foundation's Vitalik Buterin before giving his speech, despite having already reached the conclusion that Ether would not be a security under his rubric. Further questions about his potential conflicts of interest are raised by emails between himself and SEC Ethics Counsel Shira Pavis-Minton at the beginning of his tenure that were only revealed through an FOA. Folks, this is everything that we've all found, and these guys are now going after Hinman. Now, this is interesting because they're even calling out A16Z. Look at this. Not long after Mr. Hinman resumed his position at STB, Silicon Valley venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz announced that it had also hired Mr. Hinman as an advisory partner for its cryptocurrency team. See Chris Dixon, Crypto Fund 3. As an advisor to that firm, Mr. Hinman provides valuable insights to Andreessen Horowitz and their portfolio companies, as well as plays a key role in shaping the future regulatory environment. And let's not forget, folks, that Bill Hinman speech started with a meeting at Andreessen Horowitz with Chris Dixon. That's where it started. Jay Clayton told Chris Dixon, go get a group together and create a memo. Lowell Ness, Andreessen Horowitz attorney, is the one that created that memo and only put Ethereum in that safe harbor memo. Okay? And then Bill Hinman just magically appears and gets a job at A16Z right after that thing. And Katie Hawn also got a job there. Katie Hawn got a job there to actually work on that crypto fund with Chris Dixon literally days after the Hinman speech. And she's the one that was sitting in the front row and asked Jay Clayton a question when he was on stage at Stanford with Joseph Grunfest the day before he goes and meets at Andreessen Horowitz with Chris Dixon. She just happened to be sitting there. Nobody's ever looked at what her part in all this is that I'm aware of. Jimmy Valley calls it right. I hope some of these crypto legends are ready to discuss this in front of the main stage at Consensus 2024 in Austin, which starts today, folks. He's calling out A16Z, Mike Novogratz firm Galaxy Digital. There's Chris Dixon. He's going to be there. Mike Novogratz will be there. Hester Pierce will be there. Maybe they can all talk about it. This can of worms is just now opening, folks. By the way, the hashtag Consensus 2024 is what we can look at to see what's going on there. Here's Stellar at Consensus. There's Polkadot. Here's some people starting to show up. Multiverse. There's just a lot. You can see people setting up their booths. So we should start this. There's XDC. We should start to see some screenshots and videos coming out of here at any time. Looks like today at 11, Aptos will be live from Consensus. I'm going to have to find all the, and by the way, you can go at 10 a.m. Consensus, go to CoinDesk's YouTube channel, and they're going to be, I think they're going to be broadcasting live from there. Okay, so folks, in the XRP community, let me see, I want to see if I can say this the right way. There's a potential earthquake, a major earthquake potentially about to break in the XRP community. That's what we're going to be talking about in DAIXRP.com. I don't know much about it yet, but I've seen some of the stuff. And I'm going to, I don't know anything about it, but I'm going to show you this is a potential. It's not real. XRP community might be the wrong thing, because I think this person was kind of on the fringes of that, not really in the XRP community. But this will be a bomb drop right here. Okay, so I'm going to go in the group. I can't talk about it out here. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family. I'm about to go. You might want to see this. Here we go.